Historically, black farmers have been denied loans and grants from the USDA. Congress approved debt relief for farmers of color in March. But where's the money? $5 billion allocated to farmers of color who typically do not receive the loans like their white counterparts. That money should have been dispensed in June. Well, white farmers have been whining and crying about discrimination, and they have been holding up the fund to black farmers with lawsuits. Right now, there's a lawsuit in Texas. Joining us from Hyattsville, Maryland, is attorney Maryum Jordan, who is with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. She's representing the black farmers. Maryum, glad to have you on the show. So, these white farmers are yelling reverse discrimination, how they haven't been helped. But there was $25 billion that Trump handed out, and barely any of that went to black and other farmers of color.
All right, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. And as you said, there is a long history of discrimination that black farmers and other farmers of color have faced when it comes to loans given by USDA. And they've been repeatedly denied, and now so many of them face crippling debt. And the American Rescue Plan provides debt relief, and unfortunately, a group of farmers are trying to stop this. And this is a program that we should be commending, not trying to stop.
So these lawsuits, how many, because I know the case in Texas, I think there was one in Wisconsin, I think. So how many lawsuits have been filed trying to stop this money from going to the black farmers?
So there are multiple lawsuits filed throughout the country in Texas, Florida, Wisconsin, Colorado, and other states. And these cases are essentially trying to stop USDA from giving out the debt relief to these farmers. And unfortunately, there has been an injunction, basically a court order, that has temporarily stopped USDA from giving out these loans. But what is important is that that black farmers should have their voices heard. And that is why we are intervening in one of the Texas cases, Miller versus Vilsack, because it is critical for the judge to understand what is at stake and how so many farmers will lose their livelihoods if there is no debt relief.
Okay, so how long do you foresee this going on? Because, I mean, what it's doing is it's holding up progress, and these black farmers are sitting there going, man, we got the money approved by Congress, now we're still getting screwed.
Exactly. It is very frustrating for them. So many farmers had received a letter notifying them that they had been eligible for debt relief under this program, and they went ahead and made some significant farming plans expecting that they would get the money. So many of them bought new equipment, bought additional seeds, really expanded their farming operations. And unfortunately, we don't know how long this injunction will last or when the case will be resolved. But it's important to keep in mind that so many of these farmers are in limbo because they have no idea what their future is going to look like.
Questions from the panel. Reese Colbert, your question for Maryum first.
Yes, I saw that, essentially the black farmers in Texas are concerned that they're not going to get a robust defense from the USDA and the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice's concern is that this could set a precedent that would actually undercut future race-based or racially specific programs. How big of that, do you think that's a valid concern, I should say, from the DOJ or USDA, or do you think that there's a compelling enough case that this will, even if the farmers were not to prevail, it would not damage or hinder future legislation or any existing programs like it?
Well, I think it's important for DOJ to vigorously defend the program. And it is important to keep in mind that it is constitutional to have race-based programs that are trying to remedy and correct past discrimination. And so we support DOJ in defending that program. But again, we also want to emphasize that black farmers should also be part of the conversation and be able to directly communicate how they will be impacted by this case.
Faraji.
Yes, Maryum, thank you so much for joining us. I'm wondering, do you think that this effort right here is do you feel like this is an effort to stop, to push black farmers out of the picture at this point? I mean, yes, there's $5 billion. The president said we're going to make this happen. Congress is going to make this happen. But just on an agency level of like USDA, is this an attempt to continue to discourage black farmers from doing the work and then essentially pushing them out of the picture? Do you feel like there's some nefarious motive behind this whole practice?
Well, for right now, the program we don't see as nefarious. We actually commend USDA trying to improve and, put these farmers at a good position financially. But it is important to keep in mind some shocking statistics. Right now, I think 1 out of 100 farmers are black. In the past and the last century, 1 out of 7 farmers are black. So you see the significant decrease over the last century. The numbers of black farmers in the country have decreased by 98%. And so even though there's no nefarious motive at play, the facts, I think, significantly speak for themselves when we look at this significant decline of black farmers over the past century. Greg.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you, Attorney Jordan. We know that remedying past discrimination, that rationale shifted, as far back as Bakke and Croson and all the lines of cases. And we know John Roberts, of course, with his colorblind constitutionalism, is basically saying the way you stop discriminating by race is stop discriminating by race. So we know, sure, that's what Stephen Miller and them are counting on. My question is, I guess it's a two-part question. Number one, is the sticking point in this legislation, which may be why the DOJ and them don't really want to push this, and our agriculture don't want to push this, the phrase socially disadvantaged as a proxy for race? I'm thinking about Anthony Kennedy now. And what about the strategy of while this goes through the courts, is there a way to adjust the legislation? I mean, what's your opinion on perhaps changing the legislation, or is this just is there no way to get around that language that's a proxy for race, which seems like that's what they're targeting?
Right. So even though they're targeting this phrase, socially disadvantaged farmers, it's a significant phrase given that the way USDA has interpreted is targeting farmers that have experienced racial discrimination in the past when it comes to their loan practices. And so this is a significant interpretation. And even though there are criticisms of this legislation, given what is happening in the lawsuit, it's important to keep in mind that this legislation is the first of its kind to provide this complete debt relief that has been, quite frankly, caused by just years and years of discrimination against black farmers and other farmers of color.
Thank you.
All right, then. It is a story that we have been covering for quite some time. We've had John Board on the show many times, Mr. Maryum. We appreciate the work the Lawyers Committee is doing here and certainly keep us abreast of what happens with this case.
Yes, thank you for having me. And if you want to support our organization, go to our website, lawyerscommittee.org, and you can take a look at our great programs and donate directly to the organization.
See, there you go. See, I had to teach Kristen Clark when she led y'all to always drop the website and how to give. You needed no prodding from me to do that. So that's always important. Tell folks where to give, where to donate, because y'all do some absolute great work. Thanks a bunch. And also, we're going to be next week. Y'all have your awards gala, and we're going to be live streaming it here on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. All right, folks. Here's the whole deal that we're facing right here. And Greg, you hit it. And that is, you got these white folks who are trying their best to go after anything that helps black folks. Now, they don't want to say a damn thing about the $25 billion that went to all these white farmers. But all of a sudden, oh my God, no, this is unfair to us. Man, get the hell out of here.
That's right, bro. I mean, and again, it ties back to what you've been saying now for years, brother. Elections have consequences. This has been filed in the Northern District of Texas as an attempt to intervene. And if it goes through the federal courts, it's going through the Fifth Circuit. This is why appointing federal judges are important. Stephen Miller, that well-rounded racist, knows exactly what he's doing. They have the numbers at the Supreme Court now. Part of the reason the feds don't want to pursue this is because they're afraid that if it gets to the Supreme Court and they knock the teeth out of this on a racial basis, they will then go after everything else they can use as a proxy for race. And again, I didn't want to get into it with Attorney Jordan, but let's be very clear. You go back to those affirmative action cases, the Seattle and Louisville cases, where the Supreme Court, through Anthony Kennedy, said you can use race, but you need to have a proxy for race because you can't use race. This is the exact point. The rationale for addressing past discrimination disappeared in 1974 with Bakke. You can't use race-based language to address prior issues. The Supreme Court has decided that when there was a better number. This is unwinnable.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you like repeat that? You know, for all of the dumbasses who tried to attack me and, oh, you wrong and all. And yeah, I'm talking about ADOS, FBA, B1, whatever one of the letters y'all give. All y'all folks who don't know shit about Supreme Court precedent, who don't know a damn thing about legal precedent, and how many times, well, the Asians got a bill. Had to tell you fools, it wasn't an Asian bill. If you look at the language, there's nothing in there like that. And so what precipitated a bill is different than what's actually in the bill. But no, you can't tell all these fake ass TikTok, YouTube lawyers out here, you know, who don't know anything. And this is the reality that we're dealing with. And then, Greg, you absolutely made another great point. We talked about the federal judges. Again, for the dumbasses who sit here and say, oh man, this stuff don't make a difference whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden, they the same. And I keep trying to tell these fools, Donald Trump appointed nearly 90% white men as federal judges, many of them 35 to 45 years old. And then they are hard right. They do not believe in civil rights. They do not believe in any of these issues. So for all, again, the dumbasses who say, oh, voting don't matter, well, guess who picks judges? President. Guess who confirms judges? U.S. Senate. So y'all go ahead and play around next year and let Republicans get control of the United States Senate. And then you're going to see more federal judges who are likely to strike down programs like this, but we don't know what the hell we talking about. Greg, go ahead.
No, brother. Listen, I'm interested to hear what you had to say, Reese, because at the end of the day, you just laid it out again, man. You just laid it out again. Elections have consequences, which also means in the executive branch. Now, we know Tom Vilsack ain't shit because we saw what he did to Shirley Sherrod, but he done got a second bite at the apple. So now you better stand up. Use the legislation in the way it is meant to be used. You're terrified of these white boys, and you're right, Roland. You said this the other night. Can you imagine a damn Senator Herschel Walker, his ass sitting up in there where he won't even be able to read whatever they done told him to vote on. He just knows that whatever they for, I'm against. And so with that, can you imagine who's going to be on the bench? This is going to come down to the will of those who are in elected office to make decisions, different decisions, regardless of what the statute says, because they're going to use the courts as the area of last defense. And again, I feel bad a little bit for Attorney Jordan because she know what it is, but she can't say it.
Folks, back to that Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on? Sure, it's wireless. Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password? Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you. All of you.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared. You dig?